Hey, Richard. So,
Okay. I found out something.
yeah.
She likes Looney Tunes. She loves Looney Tunes. So if it's you can get her like a backpack, a bag, anything that has any of those characters, because that's what she put on our exchange gift. She's like, I love Looney Tunes.
You're the man.
Okay.
Are you heading out?
Yeah, I'm out.
Have a marvelous
Have a
day.
great weekend.
Later, bud. All right, Gary, you're gonna stay right now. You're gonna stay here. I'm gonna go get Charlie, and I'll be right back. You stay right there. Down here, you stay. I'll be right back.